At 9:45 p.m. on March 6, 2024, an 18-year-old entrepreneur's dreams of building her own fashion empire ended on a Facetime call. Three friends watched their screens in horror as what started as a casual dinner chat turned into their worst nightmare. They could see Kelvi McCray, a rising social media influencer from West Palm Beach, sitting at her table, sharing stories about the styling business she was building. Her laughter filled their screens as she talked about the modeling agency she planned to launch by summer. The normal evening chatter stopped abruptly when her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old Kazian Shaw, entered the frame. What happened next would be live-streamed to her friends' phones, a moment that would change their lives forever. In a flash of violence that none of them could prevent, Shaw raised a gun and fired multiple shots at Kelvi's head, neck, and back. Her friends could only scream helplessly through their phones as they witnessed their beloved friend's murder in real time. Just 24 hours earlier, Kelvi had done everything right. She'd filed a police report against Shaw for assault. She'd ended their relationship. She'd reached out for help. But sometimes doing everything right isn't enough to stop someone determined to cause harm. The story of Kelvi McCray isn't just another tragic headline. It's a stark reminder of how domestic violence can hide behind social media filters and carefully curated posts. As a successful model, stylist, and content creator, Kelvi shared her life with thousands of followers. Yet none of them could see the danger building behind her confident smile. Before we continue with Kelvi's story, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't just about documenting a tragedy, it's about preventing the next one. If you know someone in an abusive relationship, or if you're in one yourself, the information in this video could save a life. Take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. More importantly, share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. Drop a "da" in the comments if you're watching. It lets others know they're not alone in caring about this issue. This is the story of Kelvi McCray, a vibrant young woman whose life was cut short by someone who couldn't accept her choice to leave. It's also the story of how social media has transformed the landscape of domestic violence, creating new dangers and new witnesses to tragedy. At just 18, Kelvi McCray radiated an energy that drew people to her. Her uncle, Ricky Aiken, described her as someone who had a flair for life, but that barely scratched the surface. She was the kind of person who lit up rooms without trying, whose intelligence matched her beauty, and whose drive inspired others to chase their dreams. As a recent graduate of Inlet Grove High School, Kelvi had already mapped out her future. She wasn't waiting for success to find her. She was actively building her empire, one goal at a time. Friends knew her as a go-getter, someone who saw opportunities where others saw obstacles. In the age of digital influence, Kelvi had found her niche. Her Instagram feed was a carefully curated blend of event videos and food vlogs that resonated with a growing audience. She wasn't just posting content, she was building a brand. As a model and stylist, she understood the power of visual storytelling. Her social media presence became a platform where she showcased not only her professional work, but also her journey as a young entrepreneur. Each post reflected her philosophy that success comes to those who work for it, and her followers connected with her authentic approach to sharing her life's ups and downs. Now, I need to pause this story for a moment. The details we're about to discuss might be difficult for some viewers, but they're essential to understand. If you've ever questioned whether someone you know might be in danger, you need to hear what comes next. This is where you can help make a difference. Take a screenshot of the domestic violence hotline number appearing on your screen right now. Save it, share it. You never know who in your life might need it. Hit that like button if you're committed to being part of the solution, not just an observer. The more people who see this story, the more lives we might save. In the comments below, share one sign of domestic abuse that everyone should know about. Your comment could be the wake-up call someone needs. Those who knew Kelvi spoke of her magnetic personality, a blend of confidence and kindness that made her unforgettable. At 18, she'd already developed the kind of self-assured presence that most people spend decades trying to achieve. She approached each day with clear intentions, whether it was perfecting her craft as a stylist, building her modeling portfolio, or planning her next business venture. Her friends often joked that while they were figuring out their weekend plans, Kelvi was plotting her next 5 years. This drive wasn't just ambition. It was her way of ensuring she'd leave her mark on the world. As a model, Kelvi understood the industry's demands and met them with natural grace. She approached each photo shoot as an opportunity to tell a story, not just capture an image. Her portfolio showcased versatility, from high-fashion editorials to commercial work, but it was her authentic presence that set her apart. On social media, she transformed this modeling experience into content that resonated with her audience. Her styling work complemented her modeling career perfectly. She didn't just wear fashion, she understood it. Clients sought her out not only for her eye for detail, but for her ability to make them feel confident in their own skin. Her Instagram following grew organically as she shared behind-the-scenes glimpses of photo shoots, styling tips, and her journey in the fashion industry. Each post reflected her belief that success in the fashion world comes from lifting others up, not competing with them. The foundation of Kelvi's confidence came from her tight-knit family, particularly her relationship with her uncle, Ricky Aiken. Their bond went beyond the typical uncle-niece relationship. He was her mentor, cheerleader, and trusted advisor. Her mother created a home environment where dreams were encouraged and hard work was celebrated. Family gatherings were more than just occasions. They were strategy sessions where Kelvi's latest ideas would be discussed, refined, and supported. This support system didn't just praise her successes, they stood by her through challenges, offering guidance when she needed direction and strength when she faced obstacles. Their influence shaped her into someone who believed in the power of community and the importance of maintaining strong family bonds. When we look at cases of violence, it's easy to let statistics and headlines distance us from the human being at the center of the story. But Kelvi was someone who could have been your sister, your friend, your colleague. She sent good morning texts to her mom every day. She kept a journal where she wrote down her goals and dreams. She had a favorite coffee shop where she'd spend hours working on her business plans. She helped her younger cousins with their homework and taught them about confidence. She celebrated small victories, like landing her first paid styling gig, with the same enthusiasm as big ones. She worried about her future, made plans for vacations she'd never take, and had a playlist for every mood. These weren't just habits or hobbies. They were threads of a life that touched everyone around her. A life that, like yours or mine, was filled with ordinary moments that made it extraordinary. 5 years before the tragedy, Kelvi McCray and Kezian Shaw's paths crossed through mutual friends in West Palm Beach. They were young teenagers then. Kelvi was 13 and Shaw was 14. Their initial friendship developed naturally, marked by shared social circles and the casual interactions of adolescence. For years, they maintained this friendly connection, neither pursuing anything more. It wasn't until Kelvi turned 17 that their dynamic shifted, and Shaw began showing romantic interest in the ambitious young woman she'd become. Their transition from friendship to romance seemed promising at first. Shaw appeared supportive of Kelvi's growing modeling career and her entrepreneurial ventures. Their social media posts painted the picture of a young couple in love, attending events together, supporting each other's goals, sharing inside jokes. Friends noted how Shaw seemed proud to be with someone as driven as Kelvi. They dated for over a year, and during the early months, their relationship appeared to embody young love at its finest. Shaw would attend her photo shoots, help her set up for styling clients, and feature prominently in her social media content. However, subtle red flags began emerging beneath the surface of their seemingly perfect relationship. Friends noticed Shaw's increasing attempts to control Kelvi's schedule, particularly regarding her modeling assignments. What started as protective behavior, questioning who she worked with and where, gradually intensified. He began showing up unannounced at her jobs, claiming he was just checking in. His reactions to her social media posts grew more possessive, especially when male followers commented on her content. Messages that Kelvi later shared with friends revealed his late-night accusations and demands for her to prove her loyalty. The carefree girl who once shared every aspect of her life online began posting less, carefully curating content to avoid triggering Shaw's jealousy. The living situation that ultimately contributed to the tragedy stemmed from a complex web of circumstances. After their breakup, Shaw claimed he had nowhere else to go, using this vulnerability to maintain his presence in Kelvi's life. Despite ending their romantic relationship, she agreed to let him stay in her West Palm Beach home, a decision that friends and family later questioned. The arrangement created an uncomfortable dynamic, Kelvi trying to move forward with her life, while her ex-boyfriend remained a constant presence. Shaw used this proximity to monitor her activities, coming and going as he pleased. The shared living space became a pressure cooker of tension, with Shaw attempting to reconcile while Kelvi firmly maintained their relationship was over. This situation limited her ability to truly separate herself from him, creating opportunities for continued control and manipulation. On March 5, 2024, just one day before the tragedy, Kelvi faced a terrifying escalation in Shaw's behavior. As she sat in her car, attempting to leave after another argument, Shaw approached with a gun. He pointed the weapon at her, then grabbed her throat, strangling her. When Kelvi tried to escape, he smashed her car's windshield. This violent outburst marked a critical turning point, the moment Kelvi decided she had to take official action to protect herself. Following the assault, Kelvi did everything society tells victims to do. She went to the police station and filed a detailed report. Her statement documented the strangulation, the threats with a firearm, and the property damage. The evidence was clear. Shaw had committed multiple serious crimes, including aggravated assault with a firearm and domestic battery by strangulation. Police issued immediate warrants for Shaw's arrest. The report highlighted the escalating danger, how Shaw's behavior had progressed from controlling to physically violent. Kelvi provided officers with Shaw's known locations and patterns, demonstrating her commitment to helping law enforcement apprehend him. She even shared information about his regular haunts and possible hideouts. The police attempted to arrest Shaw that same day. Officers spotted him at Gaines Park and initiated contact, but Shaw fled. What followed was a high-speed chase stretching nearly 5 miles through West Palm Beach. Police spokesperson Mike Joklas later reported that officers had to terminate the pursuit due to safety concerns. The risks to civilian traffic were too high. Shaw's reckless escape showed his desperation to avoid consequences. Despite having his description, vehicle information, and known locations, law enforcement couldn't secure his arrest. He remained free, becoming increasingly dangerous with each passing hour. Before we continue with what happened next, I need every viewer to understand something crucial about domestic violence. Right now, pause this video and look around you. Statistically, someone you know is in a situation similar to Kelvi's. They might be your coworker, your neighbor, your friend, or even your family member. This is why your engagement with this content matters more than you realize. If you're watching this far, you're already invested in understanding these issues. Hit that like button right now, not for the algorithm, but to show others this information needs to be seen. In the comments, share one resource for domestic violence victims in your area. Your comment could be the lifeline someone desperately needs. For those wondering why victims don't just leave, this story shows how complicated and dangerous that process can be. Even when following all the right steps, the system can fail those seeking help. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the next segment, we'll discuss the critical warning signs that everyone needs to know. March 6th, 2024 began as an ordinary Wednesday for Kelvi McCray. After a day of styling clients, she returned home around 9:30 p.m. Like many 18-year-olds, she connected with friends through Facetime while preparing her dinner. The evening carried no obvious warning signs. Shaw hadn't been seen all day following the police chase. Kelvi's friends would later recall how relaxed she seemed, discussing weekend plans and upcoming projects. At 9:45 p.m., she settled at her dining table, still engaging in casual conversation through her phone. The FaceTime call captured mundane moments that would haunt her friends forever. Three friends watched as Kelvi ate dinner, the conversation flowing naturally between work stories and laughter. Their screens showed her in her familiar setting, the dining room where she'd filmed countless social media videos. One friend was mid-sentence, discussing an upcoming event, when Shaw suddenly appeared in the frame. The casual chat transformed into a live broadcast of horror. Her friends watched, helpless, as Shaw entered the room. They saw Kelvi's expression change from surprise to fear in a split second. No one had time to warn her, to call for help, or to prevent what came next. The violence erupted without warning. Shaw, armed with a handgun, fired multiple shots at close range. The friends on Facetime witnessed each devastating moment, shots striking Kelvi's head, neck, and back. Their screens captured the brutality in vivid detail, their own screams mixing with the chaos. In those terrifying seconds, they watched their friend collapse. Shaw, having committed this heinous act, turned the weapon on himself, firing a single shot to his head. The entire sequence lasted mere moments, but for those watching, time seemed to stretch endlessly. Multiple 911 calls flooded the emergency dispatch center. Kelvi's mother, who rushed to the scene after receiving a frantic call from one of the Facetime witnesses, made a heartbreaking call. Her boyfriend came in and shot her. "My baby dead." Neighbors, hearing the gunshots, entered the house to find both bodies on the floor. First responders arrived within minutes, finding both Kelvi and Shaw still alive but critically wounded. Emergency medical teams worked frantically to stabilize both victims before rushing them to St. Mary's Medical Center. Police secured the scene, gathering initial statements from the traumatized Facetime witnesses who had become key witnesses to a murder. The house where Kelvi had built her dreams became a crime scene, evidence markers dotting the space where she'd once filmed her joyful social media content. In the wake of this tragedy, Kelvi's family displayed remarkable strength, particularly her uncle Ricky Aiken. Rather than let grief consume them, they chose to transform their pain into purpose. "We're not going to let him win by devastating us," Aiken declared, his voice steady despite the loss. The family focused on celebrating Kelvi's life, her achievements, her dreams, and the positive impact she had on others. They shared stories of her entrepreneurial spirit, her kindness, and her determination to succeed. Through their grief, they emphasized how Kelvi's story needed to serve as more than just another domestic violence statistic. The West Palm Beach community rallied in unprecedented ways. Local businesses where Kelvi worked as a model and stylist held memorials. Her social media following exploded as her story touched thousands, with her Instagram account gaining several thousand followers posthumously. Young women from across the region shared their own experiences with relationship violence, inspired by Kelvi's story to speak out. Local domestic violence organizations reported increased calls for help, with many specifically mentioning Kelvi's case as their wake-up call. Her high school, Inlet Grove High School, established a scholarship in her name for aspiring entrepreneurs. Kelvi's legacy continues through the work of domestic violence prevention organizations and her uncle's nonprofit, Inner City Innovators. Her story has become a powerful teaching tool about the dangers of domestic violence in the digital age. The unique circumstances of her death, witnessed through Facetime, highlighted how modern technology can both connect us and expose us to trauma. Organizations now use her case to educate young people about healthy relationships and the importance of recognizing warning signs early. Her story demonstrates that domestic violence affects people from all walks of life, regardless of their success or social media presence. Now, as we conclude Kelvi's story, I need every viewer to take action. This isn't just about liking and subscribing, though I urge you to do both to help spread awareness. This is about saving lives. Share this video with someone you're worried about. Post it in your social media groups. Start conversations about domestic violence in your communities. Leave a comment below sharing what you'll do differently after hearing Kelvi's story. Will you check on that friend whose partner seems controlling? Will you save the domestic violence hotline number? Will you volunteer at a local shelter? Your comment might inspire others to take action too. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications because we'll continue sharing stories that matter, stories that could save lives. But more importantly, share this video. Kelvi McCray was an 18-year-old with dreams, ambitions, and a bright future. Her life mattered. Her story matters. And by sharing it, you might help prevent another tragedy. Remember, domestic violence thrives in silence. Let's be loud about it. Like this video if you're committed to being part of the solution. Share it if you want to help spread awareness. Subscribe if you believe these stories need to be told. Together, we can honor Kelvi's memory by protecting others from experiencing the same fate. The time to act is now.